Okay, so we were on page 5, okay, and we were trying to figure out what a predator approaches, what literary device the author chose to use here. So let's clear this up, okay? All right. So Natalia, would you please explain
Explain what?
the literary device that's being used and why
And which one?
on a predator approaches? Just please open up your book to page 5, and that will be the second paragraph.
Ah, yes, I see it. A predator approaches. Of course. So I think it's a metaphor because right before that she said that she was a wounded zebra in a National Geographic special. So she's comparing him to the predator that's heading towards her, which is the zebra, which is why I think it's a metaphor.
Okay, so that's a very good explanation. So all of you have been, backing up your answers really well as of what you think it could be. And that's a very good explanation because you're explaining that she is comparing the teacher to the predator. So yes, that answer will be correct. So let's move on now. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the second group, group 2. Okay, you're expected to read pages 7 and pages 8 and 9 as well. Okay, we're gonna read pages 7 and 8 together. Okay, so this chapter it's called Spotlight. All right, let's begin.
I find my locker after social studies. The lock sticks a little, but I open it. I dive into the stream of fourth period lunch students and swim down the hall to the cafeteria. I know enough not to bring lunch on the first day of high school. There's no way of telling what the acceptable fashion will be. Brown bags, humble testament to suburbia, or terminal geek gear, insulated lunch bags, hip way to save the planet, or a sign of an over-involved mother. Buying is the only solution, and it gives me time to scan the cafeteria for a friendly face or an inconspicuous corner. The hot lunch is turkey with reconstituted dried mashed potatoes and gravy. This 8-foot senior in front of me somehow gets 3 cheeseburgers, french fries, and 2 ho-hos without saying a word. Some sort of Morse code with his eyes, maybe. Must study this further. I follow the basketball pole into the cafeteria. He smiles and throws a ho-ho. I try to scoot around him.
Okay, so at this point we can pause here so that we can go over metaphors. We can go over quotes 3 and 4. Okay, so number 1, could you please read the number 3 again?
I dive into the stream of fourth period lunch students and swim down the hall to the cafeteria.
Right, like I dive, right, into the stream of fourth period lunch students and swim down the hall into the cafeteria. So what literary device can we say it's being used here and why? Okay, so take some time to talk to your groups, okay, before we share this. Okay, all right, Natalia, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Is this for the first number 3?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So if I'm to describe it, I dive into the stream of fourth period lunch students and swim down the hall to the cafeteria. I think it might be a metaphor because she's relating to how disturbed it is and how crowded and how she has to struggle and, move her arms in sort of almost a swimming motion. But another possibility is that it could be hyperbole, but I mean, in movies and stuff, it's always a busy room, so...
Okay, very good. And I mean, just think about even our own lunch cafeteria. Every time we go there, right, it's so crowded and it can definitely be very intimidating for any person, especially for a new student. We know that, Melinda, it's a freshman, right? Her friends are not her friends anymore from last year. They don't really talk to her and she does feel, alienated. So that's how she compares this cafeteria. So yeah, we could definitely say this is a metaphor because she is making a a comparison, and she's not using like or as. Okay, very good. All right, let's move on to number 4. Serenity, please complete number 4.
Of course, number 4 is, I followed the basketball pole into the cafeteria, correct?
Yes, that's the quote.
Okay, so if I were to describe this, then I would say...
Take your time, and you can, turn and talk to your group to figure out,
Oh wait, no, I got it.
what it could be. Okay.
So I think I followed the basketball pole into the cafeteria. It says later on it says basketball team, but so I think pole is maybe referring to him as tall, as somebody that's maybe somebody that's tall as a pole, or refers to one, because it also says 8-foot senior in front of me. So I think that's
Gets
what
what 3 burgers, right?
I guess maybe I could call it a comparison as a metaphor, because it doesn't say he's as tall as a pole or he's as skinny as one, but it says he's a basketball pole because it probably says that.
Okay, so Serenity thinks this might be a metaphor. Anybody else maybe thinks that this could also be something else? Can a person really be as tall as a basketball pole? Have you ever met anybody that tall? Have you ever been to a basketball player and met anybody that tall? So what else could this be then? Can we think about that for a minute? Let's see, Tasnia, what do you think? Do you agree with Serenity, or do you disagree?
I disagree.
Okay.
Completely.
I disagree with Serenity because
I, however, think it is a hyperbole.
Okay, so
an exaggeration of this kid's height, because I use the same evidence. The 8-foot senior, but she's exaggerating and calling him the basketball pole, probably saying, oh, he plays basketball, he's as tall as a pole, saying, oh no, he's too tall, almost as if.
Okay, so very good. Thank you so much, Tasnia. And yes, so although it seems like it could have been a metaphor and also a hyperbole, we see that there's more evidence that this is a hyperbole, because there's really not that many people, that tall, except for that guy that was in the Guinness records. Okay. All right. You guys are doing an awesome job. Now let's move on to next part. All right. The next part, you're going to do a little bit more of the turn and talk. Okay. In the previous activity, you were trying to figure this out on your own. Now you're going to combine forces to find the answers. So you're going to share examples of at least one each of the figurative language categories, and then you're going to pair share at the conclusion of the activity and discuss it with the class as a whole. Okay, so you will be working on these 2, 5 and 6 for pages 9 and 10. Then we're gonna come back and we share the answer. Doing an amazing job so far, and now we're gonna move on to the assessment, just because I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Okay, now you're going to choose one sentence from pages 1 through 13, and you're going to explain why do you think the author chose the figurative language to express this idea. And you're going to explain below using this self-assessment table that I have here. So for example, you're going to define the figurative language that you choose, okay? And then you're going to see if you completed the graphic organizer. Did you correctly identify the example? And then you also contributed to the group discussion. And then you will give points to yourself from 1 through 4 over here. Okay, so you have 5 minutes for this. Okay, and you have 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to move on to this assessment today. We're going to do something called a self-assessment. Here you're going to be as honest as possible to do, see how well you're doing with this. So first you're going to choose one sentence from pages 1 through 13. Okay, you can use one of the ones we went over, or you can even choose your very own if you found another one. I'll give you extra credit for that. Then you will explain why you think the author chose the figurative language to express this idea, and then you will explain below. Okay, then you're going to complete this chart. Okay, you will define the figurative language that it's being used. You're going to fill out the graphic organizer as well. You're going to correctly identify examples of figurative language and then contribute to the group about types of figurative language. Over here, you will assign yourself the points. So for example, if you were with your group, if you were sharing, if you participated, you're gonna go ahead and give yourself some 4 points. If you think that you could have done much better, then that would be a 3, okay? Okay, and you're gonna have 5 minutes for this. Okay, all right, so right now you have about 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1, and last but not least, we're going to move on to your homework. Okay, so at home, you're gonna be reading pages 13 to 24, and you're gonna figure out what else happens to Melinda. Okay, so everybody please find 2 use of figurative language in the book. Okay, if you're on level, write 5 to 10 new words and look up their meaning. And if you're advanced, please write 5 to 10 new words, look up their meaning, and write sentences using each new vocabulary. See you soon.